What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, your Green Bay Packers podcast that is a proud partner of the Euroset Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. As always, I am your host, Numac, coming to you with another podcast, this time talking about the state of quarterback salaries now that Jared Goff got his massive extension from the Detroit Lions. Jordan Love is in line to get one as well, and I'm sure that his agent and Jordan Love are quite happy about seeing this number. And so to break down this and the 2024 schedule is my lovely co-host Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing well. Well,
Just that, just well.
just well. How about you?
Doing good, doing good. It's my Friday today, so I'm pretty happy. I got a day off tomorrow. Doing a lot of housework around the house, but still a day off nonetheless, right?
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, the big news this week: Jared Goff gets a very large extension from the Detroit Lions, 4 years, 212 million, $53 million annually on average. Just a very big extension that I don't know if it was really expected. I think there was like maybe some murmurs, but I definitely wasn't looking out for Goff's extension like I was Love's or Dax or anybody else's that was due for one this offseason.
See, my reading of it was very much down the middle of both Love and Dak. Because there's always been this sneaking suspicion that the Lions want to move on from Jared Goff. And they're very proactive with their team building. Is Jared Goff a franchise quarterback? Uh, they clearly there's no fence sitting when you do this. You know what I mean? And they didn't really have a choice. They went to the championship game. They could have gone to the Super Bowl had they not blown it. Um, and Jared Goff was a big reason why. Like it's almost funny because I feel like they're about to go through what they already did with Matthew Stafford, and that he's a number one pick. Matthew Stafford was a number one pick. There was a lot of people for a very long time that probably still feel, even to this day, that they're not number one pick worthy. Or these guys. When you think of the best quarterbacks of the era, you're not going to mention. You'll probably get down to like 10 guys before
Right,
you mention Jared Goff or Matthew Stafford.
right. At
But
least for their era when they were drafted. Like I think legacy wise, Stafford is still probably 11 of like in his era. But I see what you're saying. Like now that he has a Super Bowl, I think he's there's an argument for him to be top 10. But
it's probably
I'm with
elevated
you.
with a Super Bowl, but it's still like
It came so late. Not that it matters,
he,
but like I think his reputation in Detroit is a heavy part of how people think about him versus um him winning a Super Bowl in LA. At
it's
least in my
very
opinion.
different. It's different when you're the final piece to the puzzle rather than we expect you to elevate everybody else. And
Correct.
he had Calvin Johnson as his top wide receiver target. So
Mm-hmm.
as good as Cooper Cup was that year too. Anyway, I digress. I'm just saying, Jared Goff. I understand this ambivalence towards giving this kind of money to some people. Won't even say he's a top five quarterback. I thought he was a top five quarterback last year. Yeah, I mean, like it is a very top heavy position at this point, and when you produce, when you win, and you go far in the playoffs, that's a recipe for big bucks. The quarterback math and contracts are so out of control, and it's the only equivalent to NBA contracts these days, which is why I like it to see quarterbacks get paid because they are that. It's just insane, like how valuable they are, and we lament it. Like it shouldn't be like this for MVP voting. There are guys that are worthy of it. Blah 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 blah. But you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like it is. This is where we are at, and I think we are better off for it as much as people like, oh my god, look at this guy getting paid, blah 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 blah, or like $170 million guaranteed for not a top five quarterback, yada yada yada. But the value of the position is just that. outsized compared to everything else that you have to reward the guys that got you there. And I know Detroit is in this swoon, or not swoon, but like this, they're rising and on the come up and everything like that. Jared Goff is like one of the top reasons why.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of pieces there you could probably point to as why. Um, in Detroit, since he came there in 2021, he's 24, 23 and 1 for a record. Obviously, like QB wins aren't indicative of success, but 3 10 and 1 his first year. He missed 3 games that year. 9 and 8 2 years ago when they finished with a winning record for, I should say that for the first time, is only 2 years removed, but or no, maybe not. My apologies. Looking at just Goff's personal or player page, but finished 9 and 8 in what was deemed a successful season as they finished, I believe, second in the division over the Packers because the
They
Packers
did
finished
because they
eight and
beat them.
nine. Yeah,
A season that they were 1-8 at one point too,
yep. And so that was like their rising
or one
season.
and seven.
Yeah, something like that. But then last year 12 and 5, and they were the division winners and I think the second seed, if I'm not mistaken, um, in the NFC. If I'm pretty sure that's right.
No,
No, third. Yeah, because the Cowboys are second. Yeah, I remember that. Remember this now. Long time since that season ended.
it has
Regardless,
been.
top three seed in the playoffs and just a young team coming together. He's still only 29. Um, he turns 30 in October, so you got him for the rest of his prime in all likelihood. It's definitely an interesting contract, right? Like I don't know if Jared Goff is ever the guy, at least in my opinion, that's going to lead to us like lead and win to a Super Bowl because he already made one with Sean McVay. But I think that's also more. I would not to disrespect Jared Goff, but I think that's more of a Sean McVay offense than it was a Jared Goff led effort. And then they were close last year, like you had mentioned. I just worry about the variance because it took a while for him to like really look like a good quarterback. Even though, like I said, he had winning records in LA. I think that's more just of what the team was around him in LA versus what actually um, he was doing with the ball for what that's worth, in my opinion.
He's a very fascinating test case,
Yeah, you know
and
who
it's
he reminds me a lot of Kirk Cousins. Like not in a necessarily play style, but how I think of him as an NFL quarterback. Like a
yeah,
guy a
because it's
guy who
like
can be a great team leader, but how far he can lead you and what his style or what his level of play has to be in order to be a successful quarterback is I think varies week to week for me.
I think from our perspective, if I could speak from a Packers perspective, we are very used to I mean, we watched 15 years of Aaron Rodgers being this kind of wonderkind maestro level quarterback that can bend games towards him. And when you get used to that, you see it from that lens. But I also think that is kind of detrimental because, you know, Packers only won one Super Bowl.
Oh, I
They
told right. I
You
get
know what
it.
I mean? Like that's the thing is that we put such a premium on the quarterback position, and rightly so. But the value or what it means to win can vary. Like Matthew Stafford being the final piece of a puzzle of a Rams team that was really well built. Like that was I know they're changing now, and obviously Aaron Donald's like retired, so it's whatever they're going to be from now on is very different because he was kind of easily the best player. Um, but that was a succession of tinkering with the roster and getting better and better and better. I would argue as much as Jared Goff is definitely system dependent, and it's not like yeah he can walk into an environment and be like I'm going to be this number one guy. You know what I mean? I don't think that's very much the case, unless if you argue he's like that in Detroit, but we'll see. But it's been interesting to see him go from like when Sean McVay came in, there was all I remember this huge thing about well, he could talk to Jared Goff until like the 15 seconds in a play clock, and then communication shuts off. And they made it sound like Jared Goff is like this human AI that is be or like you know what I mean? It's like he's being programmed to do what he has to do and to be a successful quarterback. And it kind of like it elevated Sean McVay clearly because we look at him as one of the best coaches of the last 10 years or like this revolutionary mind. And obviously, Matt LaFleur has learned much from that by extension. But it does like take away like what makes Jared Goff good. And it's not like again, he's not, I could not tell you if he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. Right now, I would tell you he probably is not,
No,
but that could easily change. I just think, I don't know.
I don't know what he'd have
These
to
are a
do
lot
to
of thoughts in
change.
my head that I'm just throwing out there that like
Yeah.
quarterbacks can mean different things, and just because from our perspective of seeing the game being played at the pinnacle of like someone just running around and be like, I want to throw to you because I could pinpoint accurately throw it 50 yards mile or 50 yards away and
Hmm.
all that stuff. I don't know.
Right. I think it's interesting that they gave him it this year. Like I know that they needed 2 weeks. Like they didn't want to give it to him after like 2 years, in Detroit, not having made the playoffs, and with 2 years left on his deal as of the end of the season 2 years ago. But he had a better year in 2022 than he did in 2023. He had um, 3 more total touchdowns, but he had 5 more interceptions. He had a lesser QB rating, a lesser passer rating. He took 7 more sacks. Like, I just he had less
I
air net
remember he had
yards.
some
Yeah,
stinkers this year.
yeah, and I think that maybe that's skewing some of the data a little bit. Obviously,
Yeah.
like they made the NFC Championship game, so they were close to just going to the Super Bowl. It's just interesting to me that it came this year and maybe not wait to his last year because I know you want to get these done, so maybe
I don't know. I don't think you risk that.
I don't think you do either as the GM. I just think as a fan, speaking from a fan perspective, not a GM perspective, it's a I'm curious about this contract. This contract makes him the second highest paid, or I'm sorry, second most paid quarterback in terms of annual average value. Currently, I think it's of all time too at 53 million a year, only behind Joe Burrow. So, in context of the Packers, thinking about where Jordan Love fits into all this, the top average salary guys is Joe Burrow at 55 million a year, and then it goes Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, and Jalen Hurts, all above 50. And then sixth is Kyler Murray at 46, and then obviously Patrick Mahomes' weird contract that is sort of not indicative of the larger market that he has, obviously. But I'm honestly just genuinely curious what those negotiations look like at 1265 Lombardi Avenue. Because if I'm Russ Ball and Goody, I see Joe Burrow been to Super Bowl, Lamar Jackson 2 MVPs, Justin Herbert, who is like a good quarterback, but I think is overpaid for what he performs at or what his team has performed at. I still think he's very good. Don't get me wrong. Jalen Hurts been to Super Bowl, Kyler Murray probably overpaid, and then you kind of get down into the area where I think he's probably worth. Like Jordan Love is quote unquote worth to the Packers. I think he'll probably get up near Burrow's range just because he showed at a minimum he's going to be a pretty darn good quarterback for the rest of his career if he maintains the level of play he had the second half of his season. But if you're Jordan Love and his agent, I think it's David Mogetta of Athletes First.
Not David Guetta, the DJ.
Correct. Um, you see that from the exact opposite side. Like Jared Goff has been to Super Bowl, but your Jordan Love statistically is probably going to be a better quarterback than he is for his career. Justin Herbert has been to the playoffs, has not won a playoff game. I'm pretty sure. Kyler Murray, I think, has been to the playoffs, but I forget if they won a game or not.
I don't think they did.
And so, like, somewhere between 46 million a year and 53 million a year is probably where he slots in. And as the cap continues to rise, that'll be a better deal for the Packers than it will be, um, well, later down the road than it is right now. But I'm genuinely curious as to how these negotiations are going because I think both sides have legitimate points that the first half of last year didn't look like great for Jordan Love. Obviously, they were, I think, at 1 point 4-8, if not mistaken, and then ring off a playoff run and win a game on the road and almost knock off the top seed in San Francisco. Like that is pretty encouraging for the rest of Jordan Love's career. And if you're Jordan Love, you're pointing to that second half of the season as to why I should get paid a very big, large sum of money. But if you're Goody and the Packers, you point to the first half and say like, we love you, we do, but we need to see it for a longer set of games than just the second half of the season, um, to give you top 3, 4, 5 quarterback money.
Yeah.
I hope he gets as much money as he can. Like I'm all for Jordan Love getting paid. I want to be a Packer forever because he's darn good. I just like find this discussion wholly fascinating because I have no idea where it's going to come out.
The money is not necessarily that interesting to me because of inflated, not inflated. You know what I mean? It's course correcting to where it's meeting the value of how valuable quarterbacks are now. We saw last year, or a year and 2 weeks ago, as we record, that the Packers and Jordan Love did this extension that basically kind of sideswiped his 5th year option.
Yep.
And they said like, "Hey, this is it's not like a prove it deal, but it's like kind of like this mutual like you get more money now, but it also gives us an ability to, if you don't play well, if you don't succeed, we might be able to get out of this if
Right.
the grand experiment doesn't work." That to me makes me feel like the years are going to be very important with this deal because I wouldn't be surprised if it's they kind of have a very similar thinking of like not like a balloon payment where it's like a 2 year
Right.
like something like that, but I could see them kind of thinking still of like, okay, you're on the right track. You're not making X money yet in our minds. You're getting closer to that, and we're willing to rip out this contract in a couple of years if you keep playing well.
Right.
That's where I don't think it's gonna be this like Patrick Mahomes like contract where he signs until
Where
like
it's where it's 10
2075 or
years,
whatever.
450 guaranteed. Yeah.
Or if I don't think it's even so there's another quarterback like I know Goff is it's 4, but like we'll see. The thing is, the names of the quarterbacks that you mentioned, it's just funny because like a lot of those guys like #1 picks, like Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, now Jared Goff, um, and probably missing other people.
Lamar Jackson was 32. Uh,
But that's it's
yeah.
so it's like #1 overall picks. Then you have like Mahomes, obviously, who is like
Also,
was like 10 or 11.
yeah.
Lamar Jackson obviously was 32, and then
Justin Herbert. It was
Herbert was
five.
like yeah,
Was 5, I think.
but not the first quarterback in his
Yep.
class. I don't know. It just like runs the gamut of like we are still so wrong about quarterback.
Always. Yeah.
It's always
Well, then
whether it's like
like
it's not
Josh
even just
Allen
about
was, I think, middle of the first. Dak was a not a first round pick.
Tua.
Yep.
That's what add him to the list of guys that
Daniel
are in
Jones.
this. That's what I'm saying. It's like it how we view these quarterbacks, and Trevor Lawrence is in this bubble sphere now because I know they were talking about
Yep.
like, but it's
Baker.
like, yeah. Um, I just like I don't know. It's just so it's off on how we view quarterbacks from the beginning and then like continue to because it's like Daniel Jones has no business being a part of this.
Right, and then you see
But
Daniel's contract as Jordan Love and his agent be like, I have to get more than that guy.
yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
I think like I know that's like the cautionary tale, but it's like Tommy DeVito ate his lunch and it will continue to reference Tommy DeVito in Daniel Jones's
I don't even think he's
world.
like there anymore.
Tommy DeVito?
I'm not sure if he's still on the roster. For some reason, I thought he wasn't.
I don't think he is, and that makes it even no, he is. He is.
Okay. Regardless, it's just fascinating. The whole discussion of what like how when this extension gets done is I find interesting. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about it at any point. Like I don't think it's until
No.
at least June 1st or yeah June 1st. Um, if we get into like training camp and they haven't gotten something done, then I'm a little
That's a
worried.
distraction territory.
I don't think it's I don't think either of them would make it a distraction, like the Packers or Jordan Love. I just think it's just like
They wouldn't, but it's
the
gonna be
dis-
what the
people are talking
reporters talk
about.
about,
Right.
media talking about.
Right.
Like, why haven't you committed to this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just went to Tommy DeVito's Wikipedia page, and
Why?
we'll just hear me. This is why. The last sentence in his professional career section reads DeVito won the Bud Light Celebration of the Year award at the 13th annual NFL Honors. We allowed this.
That's very funny. That is very funny. All right. Enough about Jared Goff and quarterback extensions, Jordan. You have anything else?
No. I like how we talked about extensions, and I was like, yeah, let me talk about Tommy DeVito.
I mean, he's he's your vice. You can't go more than like 3, 4 pods without mentioning the Cutlet Man himself.
Yeah. I'll have
So
some cutlets tomorrow for dinner.
why? Why?
It's not Mama DeVito's, but I'll have them.
You gonna make your own bed too?
I would appreciate if Mama DeVito did that. That'd be nice.
All right. That's enough about Tommy DeVito. We're on to the schedule. All right, Jordan. Same thing as last year, folks. The schedule was released yesterday on Wednesday, as we record this on Thursday. Jordan has not seen it, so
No.
the where I'll
No
be
one really talked about the schedule release. I didn't see anybody talk about it. It just kind of came out of the thin air.
yeah. Surely there
Just a
wasn't.
wild blue shot. Yeah.
um, you'll have to go watch it later. But I was not a fan of the way the Packers released their schedule. I thought it was one of the more
And that sounds like a day that ends in Y.
yeah. Like I respected the fact that they tried something, but I think the
See, I
idea
haven't seen
was
this, so I
dumb.
don't know
I
what
know,
I could.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I just think the idea was dumb. Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Like, I respect that they did it. I think it's a dumb idea, but what do you do?
Yeah,
So, all right, we know the first game, Jordan. We already know the
that's
first game
true.
that it's Eagles Week 1 in Brazil, Friday,
Yes.
September 6th. Um, I think we talked about it before, but what a way to open the season, frankly. Like
Mhm.
they get a rest advantage coming back, as they go into the week 2 neutral site. Like not having to play in Philly is a wonderful gift for them, considering they just did it 2 years ago. So,
Yep.
um, since we know that one already, we'll just hop into week 2. Starting off at home opener against the Indianapolis Colts.
Horseshoe.
That's right. Anthony Richardson comes back from injury. Um, Jonathan Taylor's in town. Packers fans going wild for a long season of high expectations coming off of last year's season.
Win.
Are we doing
Book it
this?
now.
We're doing this live?
Yep.
Okay. What about the Eagles? Hold on. Let me get some notes up.
I'm gonna go loss.
Loss against the Eagles. W against the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Why? Why?
I've already ruined my bid. I was gonna say every game that they're gonna win.
Oh yeah, that's toast.
Yeah. Damn it.
All right. Week 3. The Tennessee Titans on the road.
Hmm.
No more Derrick Henry. It'll be Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, Will Levis, Mayo Mahomes. I hear what they call him.
Oh.
You know why, right?
Might
You
this might be
surely
what
know
I know.
why.
Yes, I
Okay.
do. This might be one of the worst teams next year.
I don't disagree.
We'll let's put a bookmark in that because we'll probably cover that in our over under win totals, whatever we
Oh
want to
yeah,
do with that.
we do that closer in July, August, things like that. So
But for a first like true road game, this is a nice like warm up act. You know what I
that's the
mean?
hope, right? They have
Let's go
weapons
win.
outside, but we'll see how that team overall just is. So
Two straight AFC South teams.
yeah, week 4, another home
Oh,
against the Minnesota Vikings. JJ
Aaron
McCarthy
Jones.
may or may not make his Lambeau Field debut, but yeah, as you mentioned, the bigger story: Aaron Jones returns to Lambeau.
I'm glad it's like earlier in the season.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I feel like if he is going to be successful, which I have a feeling he will be, um, the longer it would go on of like whether he was good with the Vikings or not, it would
mm-hmm.
just kind of linger over with how the Packers do, and it
Right.
creates this like they shouldn't have gotten rid of him, like that kind of thing. Let's get out of the way early, you know.
Yeah. What is your prediction? Win or loss?
Oh, win.
Okay. Do you think Jones rushes for over 100 yards?
Yes, I've
Okay.
seen the Packers play run defense.
Not with Jeff Hadley's defense though.
That's true.
All right, week 5, on the road again. L.A.
Oh,
325. So a quote unquote primetime game. Notably, I should note this. I guess the NFL only describes primetime as games at night, so this technically isn't primetime.
sounds like a Discord discussion that was had
It
over the
is a Discord
season.
discussion
So
that was
let's.
had earlier this year, but this will come into play later, which is why I mention it.
Interesting. We'll probably have Tom Brady on the call.
Oh, I'm so mad. I don't want to hear that man talk. Truly, honestly, I don't have anything. I don't care to hear that man commentate over a game. I think it's going to be as bad, if not worse, than what people think Tony Romo is.
So what is Greg Olson doing?
Getting the put on the second fiddle. They just bumped him down.
No, I saw the other day that they don't have him among the Fox
I
coverage.
thought I saw when they
Is
announced it.
he actually still on there?
I'm looking.
Let's hope.
Um, I can't find a news story quick enough, but I'm pretty sure he got moved down to second. Yeah, so this is from Bleacher Report. Greg Olson to be number 2 Fox analyst behind Tom Brady. Salary drops by 7 million. Sheesh. So, yeah, that's week 5. Win or loss.
Um, the Rams are. I don't know what to expect of them, so I'm gonna say
They
win.
okay. They'll have Matthew Stafford. They'll have Cooper Kupp. They'll have Puka Nakua. So, we shall see. All right, the final one of this column, week 6. Back at home,
Cardinals.
Arizona Cardinals at noon. Kyler Murray comes
Interesting.
into town with God, I can't
Marvin
even name
Harrison
another
Jr.
person. Yeah, Marvin Harrison Jr. There we go.
Can you name the coach of the Cardinals right now?
Nope.
I want Jonathan Gannon. Fire the Gannon.
Sounds like you would be pretty good in a trivia contest. That's a trivia
Yes.
question. Who's the
Yes, it
Cardinals head
is.
coach? Yeah. Win or loss.
Uh,
Home
win.
against the Cardinals. So you have the Packers on a 5-game win streak right now.
Pretty impressive.
5-1 through the first 6 games. All right. All right. All right. Week 7. Back-to-back home games. This one against the Houston
Ooh, that's gonna be a good
Texans.
one.
They
I
put this
forgot
game
that
at
they
noon at
play.
Jordan.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Do you do actually? Do you know the night game for that week?
For this week?
Yes, for week 7.
Uh yeah, I can look it up. NFL schedule 2024 week 7 cuz I'm sure it's something dumb like Giants Cowboys or something. If I were
Ah,
to if I were
yo,
to guess.
I yeah, for sure. It's gotta be.
Sunday night football. Ugh, yuck. Sunday night football is Jets at Steelers. Monday night football is Ravens at Buccaneers and Chargers at Cardinals.
Double duty. What?
Yeah, they've been doing that for a while now.
For
Yeah, they
week 7?
not like specifically week 7, but yeah,
Yeah.
plenty of. They do it. It used to be like a
Jets
week one thing.
Steelers.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It used to be like a week
like
one
opening
thing,
weekend.
right? But they do it a lot during the season now.
Okay. Jets Steelers.
Yep. I think the Jets have the most primetime games this year.
What a shock.
Yeah.
It worked out well last year.
Yeah. Um, week 7 home against the Texans. Jordan, what is your prediction? Win or loss?
Win.
Wow. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Week 8. That wraps up the AFC South.
Jaguars.
They get all AFC South teams done before the bye. Away against the Jaguars.
Dirty Jacksonville.
Trevor
Jaguars.
Lawrence and company. No more Calvin Ridley. He's in Tennessee.
That's right. Darnell Savage.
Yep.
Josiah DeGuara.
Yep.
What an off season. Um, Lost because they don't play well in Jacksonville.
Or Florida in general.
Yeah.
So that's that. Next game, this is week 9. Home against the Lions.
There we go.
Yep. Jared Goff and his fresh contract coming to Lambeau Field, a place they won last year. And the first matchup between them this year.
No bye week yet. Don't tell me when it is. Um, yeah, the mystique of the Lions not winning at Lambeau is kind of worn off, as
Yeah.
everything has as
The last 2 years they've won it.
fortress.
Yep.
I want to go loss.
I'm sad that you picked this game for a loss.
It doesn't matter. That's what
I
I'm
know.
just telling you right now.
I know. But, like, you picked them to lose against the Jaguars, a game I think they'll win handedly. But then losing it again at home to the
I
Lions
will
is like.
timestamp that because I really think that they will lose the Jaguars, and that'll be an infuriating game. And I'm not saying that just because they have fur on their bodies. The Jaguars.
All right, timestamp it, bookmark it, tweet it, do your thing. Week 10, that's the bye week.
Bye week, thank God.
Yeah, that's a good spot for it.
It is. It's pretty much smack dab in the middle.
Yeah. So, week 11, on the road.
Is that Monday night? No,
Uh,
that's Sunday. That's Sunday.
I don't know.
Yeah, why would Monday be at 12 p.m. Central?
That's right. The first game against Caleb Williams. At home, he's got 10 weeks of games under his belt. However many that is for them, I don't know. What's your thoughts?
Win.
All right.
Jordan Love is impervious to the franchise that is the Chicago Bears.
So be it. It is done. Noon game for that
a
one.
good game to go to.
That would be a good game to go to. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Week 12. Home against the
This
49ers.
Team. Screw you!
Home against the 49ers. First time the Niners have come to Lambeau since they beat them in the playoffs in 21. Notably, not 2 degrees outside. This is the Sunday before Thanksgiving.
I already know I'm gonna hate that game.
Oh yeah.
Kyle Shanahan with his little his hats that have the little 49ers logo. Like, why don't you wear a normal hat? Um, Lost because it's the 49ers and nothing means anything anymore.
All right. Week
uh,
13, Thanksgiving. They host a Thanksgiving game, Jordan.
Interesting.
Thanksgiving against the Miami Dolphins. Prime
That's gonna
time.
make
I want you to
prime
note
time.
this. Prime time.
I'm I'm very aware. That's gonna make for a very interesting recording.
Yes, it
Just
will.
forewarning.
Yep. I don't know when we're gonna do it because I already know my
Nope, we
schedule is
don't
gonna be
know.
a little weird. But
Yep. Um, Dolphins, eh?
yep, Tua, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, the whole team. Mike
Another
McDaniel's.
team that I feel like weirdly plays well at Lambeau.
I couldn't tell you the last time they played at Lambeau. It was a while
Packers are
ago.
Packers are 6-10 against the Dolphins all time.
How many of those are since 2010?
I will tell you.
I can't imagine. I think it's more than one.
They lost to the Miami Dolphins in 2010, the Super Bowl year, at Lambeau. They won against the Dolphins in 2018 at Lambeau. I am learning that they're kind of mid against the Dolphins at Lambeau, so that's music to my
Yeah.
ears. Let's go. Let's go. I feel like Tua is gonna poop the bed on Thanksgiving. Let's go. Packers win.
Alrighty.
I think
Next
you're
up.
like, oh,
No. Next up, the Detroit Lions again. This is, I believe,
Thursday.
Thursday. Yep, it's another Thursday game. Um,
Interesting.
since they both play on Thanksgiving.
Oh, Doug, yeah,
The fifth. Yeah. This is another Thursday game. So,
big
yeah, this will be a big matchup coming into the end of the season.
win opponent right now.
They just don't like winning at home. They got to win on the road for each team.
Mhm.
All right. So back to back primetime games. Week 15,
Ugh,
away to the Seahawks.
ugh.
This is Sunday Night Football.
So this column has all night games,
I'm not gonna spoil it.
but it's. I feel like the NFL knows that
I'm not gonna spoil it.
we have three more. Two of them are going to be Bears and Vikings. With one, I'm forgetting the other team that they play. I'm going to go win against Seattle.
Win against Seattle. All right. Here we go. Week 16, Monday Night
What a
Football
shock!
against the Saints.
What a shock!
Weird
The
game
Saints,
this is.
very weird game. All
Like,
Saint playing the Saints in December. When
yep.
does that happen?
I don't know, but it's Monday that Monday Night Football.
I'm
New
looking it up
Year's
right
Eve
now.
Eve. What are you looking up?
If they played the Saints in December at Lambeau,
Ever?
because
I don't know.
I don't think they have.
That's a wild accusation to throw out.
It is, and it happened in December 2nd, 1973. So I'm already immediately wrong.
Oh well.
Um, I'm gonna say this is a tie.
Brother. Jesus Christ. All right. Week 17. Noon.
Not a night game
Not a night game. Noon against the
yet.
Vikings.
Yet,
In Minnesota.
just like last year.
Mm-hmm.
Week 17 was in Minnesota. I feel like they played Minnesota or in Minnesota for week 17 quite often.
Probably, yeah.
Because the first time that LaFleur won the division was also the second to last week.
I believe it was, yeah.
Um, I think the Vikings, now that the offseason is kind of over,
Mm-hmm.
like the big stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I think the Vikings are going to be crap. I think they're
Yeah.
going to be awful.
With that being said,
No, I think the Packers beat them up.
all right.
U.S. Bank Stadium. What? Yeah.
Sure. I don't know what you're getting at, but sure.
I don't know.
Week
Cash or credit.
18, you know it to be true. The
TV.
the Bears.
Tom Brady dilemma.
Sure,
T,
if that's what TBD
TBD.
means to you.
um. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was always going to end this way. It would be very interesting if both teams are actually like good.
Good. Yeah. It'd be
Because like
Packer or the NFL would love that.
last year, I know we got kind of there with like the last game.
With the both of them being good,
We
I
kind of got there.
kind of is
Kind of
doing a
got there
lot of lifting there, dog.
on both sides.
The
On
Packers were
both
good
sides.
at the end of the
They were
year.
good. They were good by the end of the year. They won a playoff game. I understand that, but they were not like I'm what I mean by good, I mean like they're fighting. They're actually going to win the division, not like
Right.
let's sneak inch into the playoff.
I see what you're saying.
Because at the time we were like they're going to be sacrificial lambs to whoever they play in the playoffs.
Win or loss?
I don't know. I don't know what time it's being played.
You have to pick.
Win because it's week 18 against the Bears.
Okay.
This franchise is not changing.
So you have them at one, two, three, four losses. You have them at 13, 4, and 1.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If they have a
13, 4,
tie
and 1.
next year, one, hilarious. Two, I'm right. That'd be amazing.
um, what stands out to you in this schedule the most? Like, what game jumps off the page to
What's
you?
game? What stretch?
Yep. Because I think there's a something noteworthy here that is important to take into context. And I'll say it since
Yeah, you say it.
we have dead air going on right now. Um, the Packers don't go on the road for more than 2 weeks in a row. Their only back-to-back road games come in week 14 and week 15 against the Lions and the Seahawks. Otherwise, they do not have back-to-back road games the entire season. And they
Hmm.
have the benefit of having two instances of back-to-back home games going from week 6 to week 7 with the Cardinals and Texans and week 12 to 13 with the Niners and the Dolphins. Another thing that's was pointed out on Twitter, which I think is pretty crazy. I think the Packers have one rest disadvantage the entire season, and it comes in week 18 against the Bears. The Bears play Thursday the week before in week 17, and then obviously everyone plays on Sunday week 18.
Interesting.
But otherwise, they have rest advantages in every other game, or rest like advantages like neutrals. But they have
Yeah.
two extra coming off from Brazil, um, two extra coming off of the Lions or to the Seahawks. Well, 3 days extra off the Seahawks,
Yeah.
off of the second Thursday game in December. Like it's it's nuts. I think the the rest of disadvantage game might be the Saints to Vikings week 2. I forget, but either way, it's
Yeah, well, it would also be it'd be 49ers to Dolphins and then Saints to Vikings, yeah.
right. So, well, no, because the Dolphins also play on Sunday, week 12.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they don't have one week 12 to 13 to 14 because the Lions also play on
Hmm.
Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
But I think this was a really favorable schedule, just like not even talking opponent wise, but just like the way the schedule is oriented, oriented this year versus last year, I think is absolutely awesome for the Packers. If you remember last,
I'm just
yeah,
trying to find that now. Because they had
last,
3 straight road games last year, didn't they?
yeah, they weren't home for a month last year. They had um they had a home game against the Lions on September um 25th, it looks like 28th, and then they were on the road Monday against the Raiders, a bye on the road against the Broncos, then home against the Vikings. They didn't play a home game for a whole month between September 28th and October 29th. So to start the year, they were on the road twice, didn't play a home game for a month, and then had two games on the road in weeks 16 and 17. They only played similarly to this year. I shouldn't say only, but they had two instances last year where they played back to back home games. But then they had three instances last year where they played back to back road games. So I'm a fan of this schedule. Every other is like as good as you can ask for, and then talking about like rest disadvantages and advantages, the things they have like that, plus along
Yeah.
with um having only one instance of back to back road games versus two instances of back to back home games. Big fan that way. Also, um, worth noting that in the like colder months, starting with like week 12, you have the Niners, the Dolphins at home, which is obviously cold, and then the Saints at home, and they play in a dome. So like, not something to like expect there to be different
Yeah.
things of. Like they're pro players, they acclimate just fine, but not nothing either, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just something to point out. They have like a bunch of just warm weather teams coming to Green Bay.
As
October
is
could be
tradition.
a little chilly, so could Houston. Or I'm sorry, they go to LA. But the October 20th game could be a little chilly. It doesn't. It's not like a big thing. It's just something to note. I think I'm gonna have them. Oh, they play 18 games. 14-4 seems lofty, considering that.
17. 17.
Yes, 17. Oh, then I give you. Then I have the wrong amount
No,
for
you're right.
you. Because my total is 18
I
for
think it
you.
was 12, 4, and
12,
1.
4, and 1. Yeah. Um, I think I'm gonna have them at 12 or 13-4. Like that's a pretty lofty goal for them to reach. Like I think we're both around there, but at this point in the off season, I think I have them losing four of these like 5 games. Week 1 against the Eagles, week 12 against the Niners, one of the Lions games. As much as it pains me to say so, one of the Bears games, and then the Texans game. I think they lose 4 of those 5.
Hmm.
Otherwise, the rest of them I think are pretty winnable. Like obviously, there's variance week to week. I don't think they go 17-0, but with what we saw last year at the end of the year, and if they maintain that momentum, plus you get Josh Jacobs in there, the defense is revitalized with Jeff Hafley. They could be good. And this is a
What
very
is
like good schedule for them.
what is your biggest non-divisional game in your mind?
Oh, it's the Texans game week 7.
Really? Not even
Yeah.
Eagles?
No.
Because yeah,
There's 3 big ones, obviously.
not 49ers?
There's 4 big ones. I say the Eagles, the Texans, the Niners, and the Dolphins are all pretty big non-division games. But I think like narrative wise, the Texans game is a fascinating game. Is going to be absolutely fascinating. Like
Yeah.
Jordan Love and CJ Stroud were I think the two most shocking young quarterbacks to come out of the NFL last year. I mean, say what you want about Brock Purdy, but like
Yeah.
the like not to get hyperbolic, but the future of the NFL could be facing off on October 20th at Lambeau Field. Like like I said, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but CJ Stroud was an absolute baller last year.
He
Jordan
was.
Love absolutely rising as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
Both teams won playoff games that no one thought that they would.
Both teams should have won their second playoff game if they didn't. Like these are teams on the cusp.
Uh, Texans less so.
I mean, less than the Packers, of course, because of how close the Packers game was, but
Yeah.
the Texans kind of got away from everything they were doing well with against the Ravens. Plus, they had a lot of injuries to end the year. They lost like both of their wide receivers and things like that, but that's getting away from the point. But the Texans are scary, dude. like they're going to be good. I think they're going to be that's going to be their division for a long time. So yeah, that's the game I'm like most excited about is that week 7 Texans game.
Interesting.
Yep.
I like that.
What is yours? What one jumps off the page for you?
Texans are exciting just because I feel like they rarely play one. It's rare when they're both on the precipice of both being good too. I feel like the infamous run the table, or not run the table, but there was the relaxed game. It was Packers beat the Texans and Rodgers did like whatever his
Whatever his little
you
speech
know
was.
yeah. Moving on. Um, I don't know. Last year I felt like there were some I like. It's like we kind of know a lot of these teams.
Yeah,
Texans are like the only ones that are like really like
really foreign.
yeah. Even I guess I mean the Bears just they have to prove it, but like they it is new. It's exciting. Like the Lions are on the rise. The Saints are just like the epitome of like mediocrity.
Yep.
The Dolphins have kind of lost. I feel like the flowers off like
The sheen is worn
the
off.
stem. Yeah, they just kind of
The flower is off the stem. Is that what you just said?
no.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. A lot of these teams are just kind of the same, right?
I mean, yeah, they faced the Rams last year. They faced the Seahawks slash. No, they didn't. That was 2 years ago, right? Yeah, that was 2 years ago. They faced the Seahawks. They faced the Seahawks in preseason last year, but that doesn't count.
Oh yeah.
Um, they faced the. I'm trying to see. The Eagles was 2 years ago. So, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these teams are just more high profile than other teams. I mean,
Yeah.
there's only 32 of them, and you play what is that? If I can do math, 6 minus 17 is 11. You play 11 different ones every year, kind of thing. So I don't know. Like I just think I like the schedule a lot. I think it's gonna be a fun year.
Hmm.
So anything else, Jordan? Anything else on the schedule?
No, I think that's it. I'll look at this more and I'll tweak my record. Maybe I'll get more wins. Maybe I'll race the tie. Maybe we'll learn the time of the week 18 game and I'll finally give a prediction. I don't know. I
You
don't
will
know what
not. You will not learn the time of the Week 18 game until Week 17.
I will give a prediction when we learn the time of the Bears game, even if that's in December or January, because I believe that would be in January.
It will be. It'll be January 5th. If I can do days right.
I don't know. It's TBD. It's to be determined.
It's it would
It could be
it's
July
going to
4th,
be Sunday.
2025.
Oh my
I don't know.
god.
I don't know.
Oh man. All right, that's it. Jordan's off the rails. We're wrapping up. Thank you everybody for listening. Be sure to check out gspn.info for all of the GSPN podcasts, including Eurostep and Win in Six, as they do their mea culpas on the Bucks season and the off season pace. Now that what is that not right?
You know what's funny is I really saw you just like you using that term. If the Bucks season had somehow turned around, I wanted to do a really funny bit of May of Culpa where we just like air out like all the wrong takes that were
Oh
spouted.
yeah,
Turns out the Bucks season was
it's
as
done.
disappointing as everybody thought it was at various points. So
Unfortunately,
unfinished bit.
that's right. We'll have to do it next year.
Mhm.
Um, So check out Ty and Rohan on Eurostep and Jordan Adam at Win Six. Um, check out Cruising for a Bruising as the first place Milwaukee Brewers are traveling to Houston this weekend to take on the floundering Astros. Uh,
Poopy Astros.
as Andrew Snyder and Adam McGee talk all things Brewers, as well as all things pop culture on their Make Time for This pod. So check out gsp.info for all the good things there. Um, be sure to click that link every day because there's a lot of good stuff there every day and coming up. So stay tuned for all that. We'll be back again soon whenever there's news to announce, whether that's the Love extension or any other things that we have to talk about. You won't hear from us too short. You'll hear from us soon, is what I'm trying to say. It won't be long to hear us again. So, all right, everybody. Thank you for checking us out. Be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, all that kind of stuff. We appreciate it. And Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.